Hello, you are listening to the Mets in the UK podcast, your home for Mets content in the UK. You can catch us on Spotify, YouTube, and all good podcast hosts every Tuesday. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, and X at Mets in the UK, or you can use the hashtag MITUK to get involved. As always, I'm joined by Joe and Tor this evening. How are we doing, Joe?
I'm good, thank you. Happy opening day Eve.
Yes. Happy opening day Eve. And Toria, how are you doing?
I'm good, although I'm already feeling starved of baseball after being spoiled for the last 4 days.
Yeah, it's been a lovely 4 days. Come on Thursday, yeah.
Come on.
Oh, yes.
Ready for this.
Unfortunately, we're not joined by Trace this evening. She has work commitments. She will be back on the pod soon. So we have been spoiled with Mets baseball. Let's start with the games, recapping from the last week. So since we last spoke to you, the Mets have played quite a few games, finishing off their spring training. Last week, they played the Astros, winning 8-2. RBIs for Soto, Vientos, Nimmo, Beatty, and Alonso. 5 scoreless innings for Peterson, scoreless from Diaz, Stanek, and Garrett in what was quite a brilliant performance from the Mets. They then went on to beat the Nationals 10-3. RBIs for Lindor, Terens, Beatty, Siri, and Acuna. Stenger gave up 1 in almost 4 innings pitched. Kranick went scoreless over 2. Mets then played the Cardinals, winning that game 3-2. A Beatty double and a home run, continuing his hot form across spring. Alonso hit an RBI, and Clay Holmes had a solid sort of outing, scoreless over 5. Mets then played the Nationals again, drawing that one 5-5 with RBIs for Lindor, Nimmo, Winker, Vientos, and Senga. Not Kodai, but the other one. Senga managed to hit a home run in his at-bat. McGill was decent over 5. Minter had a scoreless inning in his outing. Mets then played the Marlins, winning that game 10-2. Canario got a grand slam and a separate home run in an impressive performance from him. Marte and Taylor also with home runs, much to Toria's delight. Canning was also impressive, again, much to Toria's delight. And Urena recovered from his earlier spring training form, went scoreless over 2. So it was nice to see a good outing from him after a shaky start. And then finally, finishing off the 4 games of UK-friendly Mets baseball, they played the Yankees Subway Series game, 6-all tie in the end of that one. Beatty, Alonso, and Nimmo all hitting home runs. Senga again with an RBI. It was a bullpen game, lots of pitchers having a good go. Kranick had a scoreless 1-2-3 inning, finishing off spring training for the Mets with a record of 13 wins, 13 losses, and 5 ties. Mixed would probably be the best way of describing spring training. Toria, you watched every minute of Mets baseball. So how have you found the last week?
Firstly, I've found it amazing that we, like I said, the last 4 games have all been UK-friendly times. Back to back to back to back. We have been spoiled, but it's been amazing because so many people outside of the US have had the opportunity to watch some of these games. So I think that's, it's really important, and it's great for us to be able to share that over here. You're right, mixed is correct, but as far as spring training goes, I've been really, really pleased with, we've seen a lot of consistency. We've seen players that we needed to come back, coming back and putting in performances. We've seen the likes of Holmes and Canning get stretched out, which we needed them to do. So I think we get to the end of spring training, and despite the few injuries that we've picked up throughout, I think overall, the Mets will be satisfied with what they've gotten out of it, which is a whole point, right, of spring training. You mentioned Canning. We talked about him last week. We will talk about him again. He's making the roster. He's making the rotation. It looks like it's going to be him in the rotation, Blackburn in the pen. And McGill, in the rotation, as we talked about last week as well, which is interesting. It's fair. It's fair. We talked about that. The interesting thing for me, there's the two standouts for me, I think, particularly over the last week, have been Brett Beatty. He is just, we've been through this before though with him, right? Where he's had a good spring.
He teases us, doesn't he? He likes to do this.
He does. So, but I really want to believe that he's got it this time. That, all of that experience that he's had and all of that time sent back down. That's why we send him back down, right? It's to get that daily experience and build that. So I really want to believe that what we're seeing in spring is going to continue for him, because he's been really, really good. More of that later, no doubt. And what Canario has brought, I think, unfortunately for him, it's going to come to now, because it looks like he is going to hit waivers in a couple of days. I can't see, unless there's an injury over the next couple of days, which is unlikely, I can't see him making the roster, which is a shame. He is out of options, so we can't send him down. We're going to have to expose him to waivers, and I can't imagine that he won't get picked up elsewhere. But I'm really, really pleased that he had the opportunity to show what he's capable of. He had a really good outing the other day. And finally, drawing with the Yankees yesterday was a personal pleasure for me, because I was watching it here with my Yankees fan friend. Shout out Jason, because he does listen, because I'm sure he loves Mets really, for my benefit, obviously. So I was able to watch it with him. Neither of us were really too kind of precious about it, given that it's spring training and all. But you guarantee there would have been some ribbing one way or the other if one of us had won. So I was quite happy to see us come back. And again, we came back. Nimmo, bearded one. What's going on?
So
Incredible. That was more than enough for me. Sorry.
And I think you've touched on a couple of bits there. Those of you that are still new to Mets baseball, or just baseball in general, it's worth remembering spring training, much like pre-season with football or soccer, is it's not important. It's not something to judge a season on, and that kind of spills over into the start of the season as well. I'm going to say it because it happens every year. It's going to happen. I can guarantee it's going to happen. Let's not all lose our minds if the team slumps in April.
Last year's the example to not panic, isn't it?
Exactly. And it happens every year. Mets Twitter goes into meltdown because we've lost 3 on the bounce. And that's it. The season's over. Everyone throws the season tickets into the stand, and that's it. Let's give up on the team. And it's worth it. No team has ever lost the World Series in April. Let's remember that. It's a long season. If we start slow, we start slow. If we start fast, it doesn't mean we're going to go on and win everything. So let's not judge off the back of spring training. The fact that it was mixed, and like you said, the fact we've got away with it with a few injuries, but pretty much every team has had injuries of that ilk. Some worse than others, some better than others. But generally speaking, we've done okay. And to come out okay with a mixed spring training and a handful of minor injuries, I will take that any day. Joe, what are your thoughts on the games? Have you been watching any of the UK friendly ones?
I've dipped in and out this week. The one thing I'm kind of relatively confident in saying about tempting fate is I don't think run scoring is going to be an issue for the team. I think because we've been hitting them far and wide and getting loads and loads of runs, so that's looking good. And I've been impressed with. I thought Siri's done better than I thought with the bat, and I mean we know he's a good outfielder.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't say the right name, didn't I? Never mind. That guy has done well. Canning, we spoke about him. He's impressed me, and also is it Canario or Canario? Canario. He's not a bird, is he? He's that thing with him. They were chatting. Was it yesterday? Well, probably the game where he was getting all those runs. But was there still a chance that we could maybe? They were talking about maybe trading Marte and then keeping him, or do we think that's not going to happen?
So it's possible. I mean, another situation that's been sort of mentioned that would be they've still not decided on the infield double. So, you know, Beatty's probably a lock for one of those two slots, but there's still a slot available that everyone assumes is going to be Acuna. Walton's not made the roster. He's been sent down. So I suppose what you could do if you were that desperate to keep Canario, not get him on waivers where another team could take him. If Stearns was in the booth, he did talk about this. He did seem quite disappointed at the prospect of losing him. You could be creative with the roster. You could put Acuna down to AAA, give Canario that slot. You've then got too many outfielders, which could be a bit of a problem in a tight game. Also, as Tor mentioned, he's not got options. So there is that issue of what do you do when Jeff comes back if you've then given him that space. Marte, I suppose, is the $1 million question on him really is, it's his last year with the Mets, and they've kind of already said he's a bit part DH this year. He's sharing that role. He's not really going to take Soto out of the lineup in the outfield. Who's going to want to take on his contract, which I believe is about 20 million for this year? That's a lot to pay for someone who's not got a lot left in his legs, injury prone. I just can't see anyone taking him on so close to opening day. You know, even if you're giving him away or paying some sort of part of that salary, you're doing it for a 24-year-old who has shown a couple of good bats in spring training, but it's not like the guy's on track for a Gold Glove or.
You know what you're getting with Marte, don't you? He's going to steal a few bases, get a few hits, do a good job in the outfield.
Toria, you were going to say something on Canario Marte situation?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that they've kind of already tried to ship Marte elsewhere, and it didn't work. So you think, obviously, it's always changing. People can pick up injuries, and they might leave things till the very last minute. But you would think if Marte was going anywhere, it would have happened by now. I can't see the Mets releasing him. So, and like you said, Tom, not for someone that to this point is unproven. You know, I've spoken to people who have seen some of Canario previously, and they say he's definitely got potential. And we can see that. We've seen enough to know that that's there. But
he's been injured too, hasn't he, and previously? So it's not as if he's like fit as a fiddle historically.
Yeah, so it's a really tricky one because it does seem like it's such a shame to let him go because there's definitely something there. And if he had options, it would be a no-brainer. I don't think they'll keep him up over Acuna. I wouldn't be mad if they did, because they would do it for the few weeks that Jeff's out, right? Mm-hmm. That's all it would be. But I think that then again they're causing problems further down the road. So I can't see it, unfortunately, which is a shame because I think, and you could tell he was clearly like, I think I said in the group, he was just, reminding them that he's there. He's like, don't forget about me. Everyone's assuming that Ronnie's staying. Let's not, Luis Angel is staying. Let's not forget that I'm here too. So yeah, it's a shame, but perhaps at the same time, he's put himself in the shop window to get on a ball club where he can play most of the time, get a starting spot that he deserves.
Yep.
Was there anything else you wanted to add, Joe, before we move on to the news?
No, just the usual. Just it was good to see our big names like Soto, Pete, and Nimmo doing well as well. So hopefully they'll carry that over. And we know what Lindor's like. He'll get going at some point, won't he? Again, don't panic if Lindor starts slowly.
Yeah, that's normal. And we're going to make sure that Tom's not in the room when Beatty's at bat after his performances over the last few games.
Very consistent.
Yes. I knew this was coming. I knew this was coming. This. I'm gonna have to explain myself because obviously people are not in the group chat. They don't know. This all started the Nationals game on the Friday where he hit an RBI. I wasn't in the room. I'd gone out of the room for something else. When I came back in, I'd seen we'd scored. And then the next day, the same thing happened again. I'd left the room and Beatty hit his home run against the Cardinals. And I couldn't quite believe it. And then it happened again in the Yankees game where I'd left the room and Beatty
I feel an
hit his
athlete
home run.
logo T-shirt coming on here.
Yeah. So the group have decided I'm not allowed to be in the room when Beatty's got an at-bat. So
No, you need to position yourself by a door so that you can leave the room.
Or look away. Just look
time.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least not to be looking at him. Yeah, you got to keep it up because we need Beatty to stay hot.
Yeah.
pressure.
So if that does happen, you've got me to thank for that.
Or to blame if it goes the other way.
I'll just keep leaving the room. Why not?
Love a superstition.
Yeah, that'll last all of about 2 games, I should imagine, before I'll be back.
We'll be checking.
I know you'll be checking. That's the thing. Yeah.
We need that little thing, when a tiny comes up, we need Beatty and so many bats so you can get ready to leave.
Do you know that's a really good idea? I can't see it catching on the national networks, but
SNY could sort that for us. That'd be awesome. So make it easy.
Really helpful.
Yeah.
Sort it out, please, John.
We've got some contacts. Let's send them a message.
Sure, why not? Okay. On that note, let's move on to the news. Over the last week, we've had a little bit of news in the world of the Mets. First of all, starting off with a great story, Matt Allen is back, kind of. Pitching up to 99 miles per hour on the backfields. Multiple strikeouts was the report that we were given from the reporters. It wasn't a televised appearance. It was just him putting in the work live at bats. It's worth noting, Allen's not played a competitive game for the Mets since 2019. He's made a couple of appearances in 2021, spring training around that time, but the guy's been plagued with injuries, just really bad run of injuries. Good to see him back pitching. Whether this is something that he can stay healthy and the worst is behind him will remain to be seen. But good nonetheless, and we wish him all the best for the upcoming months. Whilst we're talking about pitchers, Anthony Tacoma reporting Edwin Diaz's velocity is down, throwing in spring training around the 95 mile an hour mark versus his usual 99. Does it matter all that much? I've touched on this previously. I'm just going to add in, I don't think it does. I think velocity, like I mentioned with the egg drinker, I can't remember his name from last week, Ryan something, who was talking about throwing 102 miles. I'm not a fan of this trend in MLB where it's all about how quickly can we throw it. I've always maintained accuracy is way more important than velocity. We saw it with Bartolo Colon himself. The guy never threw high velocity pitches, but he knew where the zone was. I think command is way underrated in the modern game. So for me personally, I'm not bothered about the velocity being down. It's also spring training. The guy's not going out there to save a game that matters, so he probably could.
Adrenaline as well. That might add a few miles an hour.
Yeah, you're not going to try your hardest if it's a game where it can finish in a tie. You just wouldn't bother. Other news, the Mets have re-signed Billy McKinney to a minor league deal for AAA depth. McKinney was with the Mets for 2 months in 2021, making 39 appearances. As we've mentioned previously, Jackson Reitz did not make the final roster. The backup catcher role has gone to Senga, which is just a feel-good story after the Whole Foods shenanigans were talked about. Walton, as mentioned, did not make the roster. Sorry, Toria. As we mentioned, Beatty and Acuna is likely for the infield roles, according to Mendy. Canario could make that late challenge, but it's unlikely. We also heard from Lindor this week, who mentioned that Acuna is bored in spring training. Apparently, he was also bored in AAA. Not sure whether this is Lindor challenging him, trying to get the best out of him, or whether it's a genuine issue or not. That remains.
It's a weird thing to say, though, don't you think?
It is a weird thing to say. I lean more towards the former. I think he's trying to bring the best out of him.
Make more sense.
Yeah, I don't see it being an issue, but we will obviously keep an eye on that in the coming weeks. Kodai Senga is likely to have a pitch count to start the season, according to Tim Healy. I think we could all see that coming after his one regular season appearance last year. They're obviously going to start him slow and watch that pitch count. Also got long relievers from the bullpen like Jose Buto. I should imagine he'll be paired up with Kodai Senga quite a bit to start the season to ease him back in. Speaking of pitching, Dedniel Nunez has been optioned to AAA. Again, someone coming back off injuries. He's done all right in spring training, but part of that phasing him not quite ready for the major roster. Change at Citi Field. The Piazza Club at Citi Field is now been renamed and rebranded to the Heineken Diamond Lounge. Pictures on social media today from the Mets event. It's very green, which looks odd to say the least. Before the outrage begins to pour, it was the Piazza 31 Club by True Vodka. True Vodka being a business that apparently Piazza had a stake in. Business now appears to be out of business, which would explain the change. I don't for one second believe that this is because the Mets have gone off Mike Piazza. It's purely a business decision and the money talks in that area. Speaking of money talks, Aaron Boone told Soto he looked terrible in Mets uniform in what is quite possibly the funniest case of sour grapes I've seen in professional sports. Telling a grown man he looks terrible in a Mets uniform. I mean, come on, grow up, Boone.
He can do better than that, can't he?
He can do better than that. We had the Mets What's New event today, talking about all things new for Citi Field this year, a range of new food options, quite a few nice, tasty looking options to have a look at there. Go and check out the Mets on social media for more of that. Also showing off some of the giveaways that are upcoming this year. Quite a nice collection for those of you into bobbleheads and jerseys and all kinds of fun giveaways. During the event, the Mets announced that they have won Best Ballpark Food from USA Today, the third year in a row. If you've ever been to Citi Field, you know the food is absolutely amazing.
I need to try some more things, guys, because I've not really tried that many wild things. And there's loads, isn't there?
There is absolutely loads.
Not
There's even more this year. It's crazy.
I know. I need to be more adventurous this time. I'm going to.
And the other thing that came from the event today is the Mets are going to be doing a 5-borough mascot race each home game this season, which sounds like in between inning entertainment, which could be quite fun for those of you heading to Citi Field. That's it for the news. There's no other major breaking stories. Any comments and thoughts on the last week in Mets news, Joe?
You know, the mascot thing. Do we think that's basically an excuse to get Gelbs running around dressed as something weird?
100%. So the mascot thing, I'm going to touch on that very quickly because I'm actually absolutely gutted. So they've done pizza for Brooklyn. They've done a skyscraper for Manhattan. They have done a ferry for Staten Island. They have done
Raft for the Bronx.
I was getting there because that's what's upset me. A subway car for Queens. They've done a giraffe for the Bronx.
A what?
Giraffes are my favorite animals in the world. How am I supposed to? I don't want to have to get behind the Bronx, but it's my
they should have done like a mean looking like Yankee character. We could have all booed it.
Unfortunately, the giraffe they've made the giraffe look a little bit angry and a little bit mean, and I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it. So that's my. However, the thought of Gelbs and actually how he's already gotten on to maybe getting Keith and Pat involved as well. I mean, Pat would have to be the giraffe, right? Because Pat's like 10 foot tall. He's already kind of behind getting them involved. So that would be hilarious. And you know, I've seen the races at other ballparks, and we all know that obviously Gelbs is a pro with the sausage. So I just
does that need context? I'm not sure.
Sausage race, the sausage race. He was wonderful. So that has to happen. We have to have them doing it, and it's going to be fun, and the children are going to love it.
There's bonus points if any of us can get in one of the outfits.
Yeah. But I'm pretty fast. Be all right.
Yeah, I've got dodgy hips and knees, but I can. Yeah,
I'm just little, so anyone else's step would like be 2 of mine. But I'm pretty speedy. I don't think I'd be very speedy in one of those outfits. But I'm just very angry about the draft thing. Sorry, that's my rant over. Sorry, carry on, Joe.
That's my I'm not as angry about the draft, but that's going to be fun. And like I said, I need to try more than just a hot dog with ketchup and a Shake Shack this time, food wise.
Not the ketchup on the hot dogs again. CJ will be laughing along.
Yeah, ketchup is fine on hot dogs.
It's not.
No, right now, I didn't mean to start this again. Quick, change the subject.
Anything else on the news whilst we're on the topic of the news?
No. I'm just too excited about Thursday.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's very cute to see Matt Allen back. Let's hope he can stick around for a little while. Not concerned about velocity. As you said, you both said, A, it's spring training, so he's probably not giving it everything anyway. B, we need to bring back the art of pitching, not just velocity.
And sometimes he has got erratic when he was trying to get going. He was erratic, wasn't he? So maybe a bit more like
exactly. Sometimes he gets like almost overhyped. Yeah. Really, really pleased for Senga, and let's not forget that he was actually really good yesterday as well. You know, he's shown good stuff. So there's no doubt that he will do a fine job. Not surprised about the pitch count at all. Gutted about Piazza Club because it's my favorite place to hang out. So I'm a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, if anyone's ever been through Schiphol Airport, there's like a Heineken bar there, and it's really cool. So if it's anything like that, then I'm sure it'll be great. But it's not Piazza. I'm assuming they will have taken like the multiple pictures of Mike Piazza down from around the space. But anyway, as for Acuna being bored, I think it's an attitude thing, and Lindor's probably Lindor's acting more of as a mentor to him. So I think it's him not trying to have a dig at him. I think it's him trying to explain for him and kind of almost like cover for him. I don't think Lindor would say it if he didn't genuinely believe that it was a thing and something that's impacted him. And I think it was more meant in a let's not worry about it. He will be fine once he's around the bigs, is my take.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah. So to finish off the show, I'm going to shamelessly admit I stole this from the SNY pregame yesterday against the Yankees. They were having a debate. Mets' final season number of wins. They were doing the over-under 93 this season. Joe, 93 wins, over or under?
Over.
Over. Okay. Tor?
Over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Over.
I'm going to be the voice of difference here. I'm going to say under. And I'm going to leave it there. But let's know what you think down in the comments. Let us know your thoughts, over or under. I do think they'll be close, but I don't think it's going to be as amazing as everyone thinks it might be.
I think we're going to win more divisional games this year.
Smash the NL East, lads. Come on.
Exactly. I think we're going to win more divisional games this year. So I think that's going to be the difference. My take. And yeah, I think we have to be aiming to win the division. So it's probably going to take more than 93. I think we're over.
I think my hesitancy revolves around, and we were talking about this earlier, weren't we, Tor? Like,
yeah,
the Marlins, I think this year are in the division. I think they are done. Like, they're not going to be competitive. But as we were saying, Joe, they're going to be pesky because they always are when they play the Mets.
Yeah.
But I think the Nationals, and we've seen this over spring training, they've built something or are starting to build something.
What they've been doing.
And I think the Nationals are a 60, 70 win team this year. I think there are going to be some games we're going to struggle against them because they are building towards something. The Phillies and the Braves have got players coming back after, well, certainly with the Braves, a horrific injury year last year for them. The Phillies are still up there. That's why I'm feeling a bit hesitant about saying over 93, because we are in one of the strongest, if not the strongest division.
Definitely.
And the Nationals have stepped up the game. And
You're the
I don't
voice of
think
reason
we'll
and
walk away
calmness.
with it.
I like it. That's fine. Someone's
Yeah.
got to be calm in this situation.
Okay, that's fine.
Absolutely. But let's just embrace that Thursday is almost here, and it doesn't matter what we think right now.
Yes.
All that matters is that we get meaningful baseball where the results are going to count. Kinda. I mean, they'll all count towards the 162, but they're not going to make or break the year. But we get to watch meaningful baseball on Thursday.
What time?
10 past 8.
10 past 8.
So it's a decent time for us. It's a decent time for us before it's then late on Friday and late-ish Saturday. It's quite late as well on Saturday, I think. I've got a feeling off the top of my head it might be 11-ish Saturday.
Yeah,
but anyway,
this opening day as UK friendly.
Yes.
I think we can. Yeah.
Yeah, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock's definitely anything before, like anything up to like that 9 o'clock start.
Especially now the games are a bit shorter. That's doable.
Yeah, exactly. Anything up to like that 9:10 start, 9:05 is UK friendly. 100% UK friendly.
Officially.
I mean that officially. We can designate it UK friendly. So yeah. And let us know what your plans are, people, for opening day, where you're going to be watching. Send us your photos. Let us know who you're with, who you're supporting. If you're listening to this and you're not a Mets fan, I don't know why you would be, but you know, let us know. Let us know what you're up to on opening day. I can't wait.
It's so nearly here. It's great.
I just want to go to sleep and wake up and it be Thursday. Please.
It's Christmas.
I know.
And on that note, we'll end the pod there. As always, thank you, those of you who are our regular listeners and have made it this far. You're all legends. As always, please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, follow, all that good stuff. Helps us reach more people, bringing this amazing Mets content across the UK, Europe, and beyond. Don't forget to leave a comment. Let us know your over-under predictions and what you're doing for opening day. Thank you to Joe and Toria for joining me this evening. And all that leaves us to say, let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.